Yeah, I went over a previous video about these electric DAs. These are pretty good for DIY type people if you want to do sanding with the Autobody on the plastic and get the, everything pretty smooth. I also showed a 17-inch board sander that was air powered. But if you want to, you see, the other thing is, I'm going to tell you, if you want to stick with electric, say you don't have an air compressor that's that strong, or maybe you don't even have an air compressor, you just want to get the car primed. And I'm going to actually tell you something here too. Say for instance you're doing, before I even get into this, say for instance you're a DIY guy and you're doing, and I always did it this way, and people did, this was before epoxy primer was out. What I did back in the old days, they only had like the the lacquer primer, primer sealer, primer. They had sealer, then they had primer and primer sealer. That was about it. No epoxy primer, no zinc etching primer. They didn't have any of that stuff. What I used to do is you prime the car. After you say you did the plastic, you primed the car, you did the glaze, you got it smooth, then you primed it again. I would just put a top coat of just spray can lacquer, just so it doesn't get rusty. That's a good idea even today, just to protect whatever work you did on the car, even because you could take that spray can stuff off very, very quickly before you're ready to do real paint. It comes off fast. It's not much. It'll protect it in time. You can do the car in pieces. I'll let you know that because it's a neat trick. Now this sander, I don't even know, I was looking online, I don't even think they have sanders like this. They probably do, but they don't sell them in stores too much anymore. I just put some 220 grit on here actually. You would want to use like 40, 50, or 80. But this thing is a half sheet sander. And usually you see the DAs, you'll see quarter sheet sanders. I have a quarter sheet sander. I don't freaking use it. This thing I paid big bucks for. Well, I thought it was big bucks. It was $100-something back in the early 70s. Porter cable, heavy duty, made in the USA. All metal. And see the way it works. It's going back and forth, but it's going in an orbital fashion. So it's almost like a DA. It's almost like a board sander, and it's an electric tool. And this thing's got a lot of heavy use out of it. You can put two hands on it, and the beauty of it is, if you're going down to Lowe's, you're going down to Walmart, you want to get some damn sandpaper, and you don't want to go down to Autobody shop or something like that, or order something online. It's just regular freaking 8.5 by 11 sandpaper, half sheet. And you can tear it in half, but I don't like tearing it in half. I like cutting it in half because you get that jagged edge you can rip. Now the big disadvantage of this, now these are clip-on, these aren't stick-on. The adhesive type will not tear so easy. These you can tear, but in practice it doesn't really happen. If you're going over some plastic, it doesn't happen. Now here's another recommendation I want to make. This actually has the cutoff wheel on it, but it's because it's thinner. You can have the grinding wheel, which is a little thicker, and you grind on the edge, right? This has got a cutoff wheel on it. So if that was the grinder, you'd be grinding on the edge. I like to use, I think this is a 24 grit, and what I used to use, well, these are better. This puppy. That's a grinder. What I used to use though was the 16 grit 10-inch wheels on a 7-inch disc, on the 7-inch pad, because, or we change out the pad to the 10-inch. I don't even see 10-inch unless it's concrete grinding. I don't even know where the hell they sell that stuff. I think the whole auto body shop scene has, some stuff's the same, but a lot of stuff is different, man. It's like I've been watching the DIY auto school and I'm finding out what the hell is he talking about. Some of the stuff I never heard of, and there's a lot of stuff I heard of. Some of the stuff is brand new. But this used to be the grinder, not that thing. Not that thing. This was the grinder. Or you had the little one, the little 4-inch grinder on the air. But I used this, and here's the beauty of, and if you could find 10-inch discs, great. But you know what we used to do? Use the 10-inch disc, because where you grind is on the edge of the disc. So what happens is you'd wear out only the edge, this edge right here. So when that wears out, you just cut it down. You got a brand new 7-inch disc because it wasn't over here, because you'd be grinding only on the edge. You don't grind over here in the middle flat. You grind on the edge. So you'd save a lot of money doing that. Plus, we'd use the 16 grit, but I think they don't sell it anymore because today's cars are so freaking thin that, it would be 16 or 24. I never used 36. I know by the book it said 24 and 36, but I like the 16 because the plastic had something to really grip onto. But the cars back in the 60s and the 70s were a lot thicker. In the 50s were a lot thicker. So I guess today if you did 16 grit, you'd probably have a big giant hole in the car, man. Tissue paper metal, right? So maybe that's why they don't sell it. So anyway, I want to point that out. And the other thing is, if you're doing plastic, you want to use, what the hell, I always call it a cheese grater. It's got a proper name for it. And actually, I don't use this tool that it's in. Just the flat one. There's a curve. I got a curved one over there. And what I do is, you break them in half, and usually use the curved one. And when the plastic isn't fully set up, but it's like kind of the consistency of Play-Doh, you can kind of take a lot off without doing a lot of grinding, and just kind of shape up some of the spots where maybe you had a little blob or something like that on the edge when you're putting it on. There's a little, I don't know, maybe there's a little, depends on how skilled you are in putting it on, Hey, this is all skill, man, to tell you the truth. But yeah, this will save you a lot of time too. I call it cheese grater. I don't know what the hell you call this damn thing again, but I don't actually put it in the tool. And see, this is Stanley, when Stanley was made in the USA, which I'm trying to get all USA now. But just want to pass on a couple tips because I noticed, like, if you get that, say for instance, you get that air file or board, I call it a board sander, you're not going to get 17-inch paper too easily around here. Like, unless you go to a body shop place, might be 20 miles from you, 15 miles from you, you're not going to get it like all over the place. This actually, between this DA and this half sheet sander, you can pretty much do anything, because this will get stuff pretty flat. I know the board sander, because I never owned one. My friend had, well, he's the body shop guy who was kind of like working with a lot. He had the board sander and the air chisels and, the freaking nibbler and all that other bullshit. Yeah, I'm going to have a video on a nibbler tomorrow. I'll show you what the hell that is. But if you want to just get electric tools to do the body work, I would recommend this kind of grinder, to tell you the truth. This is slow. This is much better. And they do sell the 7-inch grinding disc and 24 grit online. Like if I go down to Walmart and go down to Lowe's, they don't have that stuff. They got this stuff. They got this stuff. They have that because it's just plain sandpaper, but they don't sell the tool. They sell the sandpaper because it's just half sheet, but they don't sell that tool. But if I was you and I was trying to save some money, and just say, for instance, you want to get your car up to snuff with doing the body work without doing the paint, and you get it pretty good, and you want to get, like, say, a quick enamel job. I'm not talking show car quality crust stuff, because if you're not that good at this crap, I mean, it's, if you're doing it this way, you're probably not that good at it. Like, I'm not that good at it. I used to be not too bad. I wasn't bad. I was actually good for an amateur. How's that? For an amateur. But anyway, I'll probably remember this. But when I get going on this, I'm going to be, I want to have all my ducks in line before I start, so I can go from start to finish in stages without freaking taking things apart and freaking making a mess. So, that's what I'm doing right now. But I just want to point out, this I always like a lot better. I don't like that stupid thing. That thing's a joke for grinder. It's okay for a cutoff wheel, but it sucks for a grinder. I hate it. And that's what everybody uses, I think. That's a DIY guy. And that is very convenient for sandpaper. You want to use like 40 or 50 grit on it. You'll cut through plastic really fast. You'll shape the plastic really fast with 40 or 50 grit. With that thing. That thing will go quick. And the other thing is, if you're going to paint later, make sure you just put some kind of top coat of whatever work you did, even if it's a spray can. Some people don't do that. It's like a mess. I know back in the day, before they had epoxy primer, man, the people would be priming cars and be rust under them. I couldn't believe that shit, how stupid some people were for doing that shit. It was amazing. But the other thing is, I also want to tell you, I did several videos on cosmoline. Cosmoline is actually protectant, and I want to emphasize the crap out of this because your number one enemy on cars is rust. Cosmoline, I've got to get some of it. I'm going to be getting some pretty soon, probably a gallon or maybe 5-gallon can. I don't know, maybe next month or something. But cosmoline is a protectant that was used for in the military for guns and munitions and military equipment, especially like if it's on board ship and it's strapped on top of the ship, chained down or whatever, and it's getting salt spray on it, and it's a cannon or something that's going to be delivered someplace. They would cosmoline it because it's a waxy type oil that basically never ever cause any rust. It's self-healing. I don't know why they known about this for 100 years now. Easy, right? They known about it since World War I and before. They got guns out there from 100 years ago stored in damp warehouses that are still freaking 100% non-rusting because they got been wrapped in cosmoline. They're like brand new under the cosmoline. If you cosmoline in the back panels of your car, even if you did work with plastic and you did porous wells, and you normally that would all just, the plastic would just fall apart because the water would penetrate from the back. If you did cosmoline with that behind there and you seal that all up with that waxy oil cosmoline, which is 2 to 4 mils thick and self-healing, and it'll last, like if you put raw steel down here for 36 months, 3 years out in the rain, wouldn't rust a bit. You put that behind the panels and it's sealing up where maybe you had a pinhole or something in the metal that can get to the plastic. You put that cosmoline behind there, even the ship body work that was rust repair, if you got behind here with cosmoline, it'll probably last decades. Why don't they do this on car manufacturers? Must have known about this shit for years. I don't know why. I just made that association a little while ago, and that should be better than chassis saver, POR 15, rust converter, you name it. It should be better than anything out there. Mil spec cosmoline. I just want to mention that in this video. But if you're a DIY guy, you can get away with this electric DI sander. You can get away with an electric half sheet sander if you can find one someplace, because it'll take any kind of sandpaper. And I like this kind of grinder far better than that little puny shit. This thing is way better, and I can actually, I can put a 4-inch disc on here if I want. I just don't like the way it just grinds a lot more surface area. I think this is a 36. I want to get some 24s for this shit. So anyway, it goes on with a big screw. You hold, the old way, man. Like this thing, this doesn't self-stick. This has these little levers like that. You pop them out. See? Old school, baby. It's got a pad underneath it. Cool, right?